Hi, good day everyone. I am Ryan Dave Sereno and me and my group are about to discuss on the teacher as a curriculum implementor and a manager. So what is the meaning of curriculum implementation? Curriculum implementation refers to how teachers deliver instruction and assessment through the use of specified resources provided in the curriculum. The curriculum designs generally provide instructional suggestions, scripts, lesson plans, and assessment options related to a set of objectives. So, the next step after a curriculum planning and designing is implementing. The teacher's role is to plan and create methods and activities for the growth, learning of each learners. So in this part, we are going to discuss on how will the teachers implements and what is curriculum implementation all about. As a teacher, your plan and design for teaching must be put in a certain way in which it should be implemented as what you have planned. You have to think what will be the methods and ways to achieve and follow your plan and design of teaching. For example, if you're a teacher and you're going or you are planning and to write on your lesson plan on a certain activity for the learners to have an engaging and active participation in the class. You don't have to only you don't have to you don't only have to write and plan for it, but you should have also had to implement and take an action to what is your plan for the activity and discussion. The better plan, the better the action should be. Both action and plan should be aligned for an effective and efficient result to happen. Your plan would be not your plan would not be wasted and also your action according to your plan. Let's move on to the objectives. So the first objective is define curriculum implementation. Second one is to analyze what is change process in curriculum implementation. And the third one is explain the process of curriculum implementation. So the first one is curriculum implementation defined. Curriculum models of Tyler, Taba, Saylor, and Alexander or Lewis is the next step to curriculum deciding, which is curriculum implementing. It is one of the most crucial process in the curriculum development, although many education planners would say a good plan is a good plan is work half done. So for Tyler, Taba, Saylor, and Alexander or Lewis, for them, the curriculum implementation takes place after the curriculum designing. So obviously, that would be the next step would that would be the next step you would take. You don't have to only stop on planning because there would be no progress to happen if you won't take an action for what you are planning to do. For example, you and your friends are planning to go to a specific place for vacation that you have recently seen in a social media. You are only planning to go but no action and implementation happen, so no vacation will also happen. Just like in the saying that nagplano-plano pa mo niya, drawing ra day too. So it is just like an curriculum. You have to take an action in what you have already planned because nothing will happen and there will be no progress. The second definition is curriculum implementation means putting into practice the written curriculum that has been designed in the syllabi, course of study, curricular guides, and subjects. It is a process wherein the learners acquire the planned or intended knowledge, skills, and attitudes that are aimed at enable the same learners to function effectively in the society. So this is definition by SADC MOE Africa 2000. So on a syllabi, as you have observed, there are objectives and achievement for each discussion. So each discussion has its scope on what are the topics and contents that are in the subject. The syllabi are the guide for the teachers for them to have a control on what are the things that the learner should expected to happen, or for the things that must be avoided, or the limitation. For implementing, for what you have already planned, you have to bear in mind that you are to follow your plan, and you must be ready also for what are the bad things that may happen, or things that you are not expecting for. The third definition is from Ornstein and Hankins in 1998. Defined curriculum implementation as the interaction between the curriculum that has been written and planned and the persons who are the teachers who are in charge to deliver it. So the curriculum implementation implies the following. So the first im- implications is shift from what is current to a new or enhanced curriculum. The second one is to change in knowledge, actions, attitudes of the persons involved. And the third one is change in behavior using new strategies and resources. And lastly is change which requires efforts, hence goals should be achievable. For Ornstein and Hankins, they define curriculum implementation as a way of taking action and communication between the teachers and the planned and written curriculum. The teachers here is the one who delivers the implemented curriculum in the way where the students will understand and able to know what is the purpose and function of the implemented curriculum. In the for curriculum implementation, it is only based on the current situation and generation of students where they will have to adapt and change for the easier way of implementing and delivering its purpose to the learners. Most of the students are thinking and questioning why there are subjects that are in the curriculum that for them it will be useless in the real world situations. The curriculum is changing according to the situations and issues that are being encountered in the real life. For the subjects that most of the students are questioning what its purpose, these subjects are testing our learning capabilities or capacity in teaching and solving problems. It may be not in the real world, but it helps us practice and expand our understanding of the subject on a specific field or subject. So one day you will wonder or realize that you are good at something or you have solved your own problems. It's because we are being practiced in school to think outside the box and to think complex ideas and concepts. It also helps us prepare ourselves for the real world and for our future jobs. And lastly, for and lastly the definition and for the definition of Loucks and Lieberman 1983. It is defined curriculum implementation as the trying out of new practice and what it looks like when actually used in school system. It simply means that implementation should bring the desired change and environment. So for Lux and Lieberman, the curriculum is being implemented and tried out in schools whether it functions well its on its purpose or not. The implementation of specific curriculum helps the administrations of the school to identify what are the possible ways and the things that they have to change for the students to have an efficient and effective learning to happen in the school. So for example of this is there are administrative exams that measures the curriculum if it functions its purpose and reach the learner's need in learning. One of it is the national achievement test that is being held on schools and to test each student or learner in every school that are in the curriculum. It is a way to determine what are the results of implementation of the curriculum that is being delivered to the students.
Everyone, my name
The
is Mary
next,
J. Kisel. I am going to discuss about the curriculum implementation as a change process, Kurt Lewin's force field theory. So, the purpose is to analyze the factors found in complex problems. It works as a tool for managing change. It helps to identify those factors that must be addressed and monitored if change is to be successful. So, here are the procedures. So step 1, defining the problem. Step 2, defining the change objective. Step 3, identifying the driving forces. Step 4, identifying the restraining forces. Step 5, developing the comprehensive change strategy. Step 6 should also include some consideration of some of the possible unintended. So, force field analysis. So, there is an illustration. So, driving forces, positive forces for change, restraining forces, obstacles to change. So, Lewin's force field analysis is used to distinguish which factors within a situation or organization drive a person towards or away from a desired state and which oppose the driving forces. This can be analyzed in order to inform decisions that will make change more acceptable. Forces are more than attitudes to change. Kurt Lewin was aware that there is a lot of emotion underlying people's attitude to change. To understand what makes people resist or accept change, we need to understand the values and experiences of that person or group. So, developing also self awareness and emotional intelligence can help to understand these forces that work within us and others. It's the behavior of others that will alert you to the presence of driving and restraining forces at work. So, Lewin's change model. Lewin's model has three steps: unfreezing, reducing strength of forces which maintain current equilibrium. Number 2, moving, developing new organizational values, attitudes, and behaviors to help move the organization on. Number 3, refreezing, stabilizing after the changes have been made so that there is a new equilibrium. So, unfreeze, move, and refreeze. So, take action, make change, involve people. Make change permanent, establish new way of things, reward desired outcomes. So, examine status, co-increase, driving forces for change decrease, resisting forces against change. Okay, so I have an example. So, imagine you are sitting in a chair. So, now what's keeping you in the chair? Well, there are two answers really. One is gravity, which is pushing you down in the chair, a driving force if you like. The other is the chair itself, which provides an opposing force, pushing up against gravity and stopping you falling to the ground. So it would seem that while you are sitting, you're in an equilibrium of sorts. Two forces keep you there. Gravity pushes down, keeping you in the chair, and the chair resists, this stopping you from falling to the ground. Two equal forces are a driving force and a resisting or restraining force, working to keep the equilibrium or status quo. Agreed? Okay, now let's play. Let's say we want to move away from this equilibrium and get you to fall to the floor. What could we do? Well, on the one hand, we could increase the amount of gravity, our driving force. The chair will give you eventually and you will fall. On the other hand, we could leave gravity alone and decide to weaken the chair, our restraining force, to get the same result. If you followed me this for me, then you've just completed a force field analysis to understood the basic concepts of the model.
Good day everyone. So, in Lewin's change model, Kurt Lewin developed a model that describes how people change. He proposed that in order for people to change, they need to move from their current state into one where they realize that change is both possible and required. He suggests that knowledge remains frozen until such time as something comes along to unfreeze the person. That may be new information or experiences, but until that takes place, nothing will alter. In education, we are commonly trying to change people, to alter their knowledge, skills, attitudes, and relationships, so we must work to unfreeze people from their current state. I find that this can take many forms, but often narratives and related experiences are powerful tools to get learners to question their current beliefs and opinions. Lewin went beyond this to also describe the process of rephrasing. It's not enough to simply challenge a view, it's what you do with that unfrozen state that matters as an educator. In other words, you need to move your learners into a position where they are prepared to let go of past beliefs and then move to introduce new knowledge, then complete the change process by embedding the new knowledge and making it stick. This last stage is often overlooked, but maintaining new knowledge is so important, but often difficult in medical circles when we must combat prior beliefs both in our learners and their supervisors. So, my understanding in Lewin's change model is that um, we have to change our current knowledge and ideas or even our skills. So we are going to refresh or unfreeze it because it is very important in order for us to know new information and know the new ideas and to improve our knowledge and skills. So, we're going to explore things which is um, give us more ideas in doing in doing our everyday or even in our daily life setting. So soon we will become a future educator or um as a teacher. So dili jud na tumalikayan nga natay students nga naa sila'y kanang lahi-lahi nga kahibalo or skills. So ang atong angay nga buhaton is to guide them and introduce them the new information and the new experiences in life nga dapat ang ilahang daan nga nahibaluan ma-unfreeze so that maka-explore sila new things nga dapat nilang makatunan and then ma-improve pod. In learning, dili lang kay mag-focus ta sa usa ka butang atong nakatunan, but instead we're going to change our life or mo explore ta og kanang something new, like the experiences, the new brilliant ideas that we must also improve it.
So these are the categories of curriculum change by McNeil 2000. So the first one is substitution, alteration. Number 3 is restructuring. Number 4, perturbations. Number 5 is value orientations. So I will be discussing about substitution and alteration. So substitution is the current curriculum will be replaced or substituted by a new one. So the current curriculum will be replaced or substituted by a new one. So from its word substitute, so you are going to change its contents and all that it contains will be changed entirely. So the previous one will be replaced by a new one. So for example, like this. So changing an old book to entirely a new one, not merely a revision. So you are going to change the whole book into a new one. That's why it's called substitution. So number 2, alteration. So minor changes to the current or existing curriculum. So alteration is something that you are making an alternative solution or ideas over something, and you are going to change a minor thing about the current one. It is somewhat called a revision or a little amendment to a particular subject. So, example, instead of using a graphing paper for mathematics, this can be altered by using a graphing calculator.
So let's move to the number 3, which is restructuring. So restructuring, it's building a new structure that would mean major change or modification in the school system, degree program, or educational system. So how should I say, restructuring, it denotes or rebuilding of an educational system that provides quality teaching and learning for students of all races or sexes, economic backgrounds, and the varied other student characteristics. So restructuring means that or in Tagalog, kumbaga, muling pagsasaayos. So let's move to number 4, perturbations. Perturbations, these are changes that are disruptive but teachers have to them within fairly short time. Example, the teacher or the principal has to shorten schedule to accommodate and plan extra curricular activities. So perturbations. So in Tagalog, kumbaga, perturbations in Tagalog, kaguluhan, or perturbations, it is an anxiety or disturbance, or it cause of disturbances or from what it is normal, especially when the deviation is caused by an outside influence. So example of what I say is, when you are feeling anxious about something you are required to do but don't like do, this is an example of perturbation. So the next is number 5, value orientation. Value orientation, a type of curriculum change that was classified to respond to shift in emphasis that the teacher provides which are not within the mission or vision of the school or vice versa. Okay, let's proceed. 3 important elements: developmental, participatory, and supportive. So, first is developmental. It should be develop multiple perspectives, encourage integration, and make learning autonomous, create a climate of openness and trust, appreciate and affirm strengths of the teacher. Number 2 is participatory, because other stakeholders like peers, school leaders, parents, and curriculum specialists are necessary. Characteristic of a teacher's style is commitment. Number 3, so supportive, material support like supplies, equipment, conductive learning environment like classrooms and laboratories should be made available. Also, human support is very much needed. School leader and heads. So, guys, so these elements, you will know, and these all are familiar to you. So that's it.